Gentleman yields. I now recognize Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yep.
Generation after generation, our families have been coming to this country, crossing the ocean or the border. That's what I've been thinking about as I'm part of, I think he said, 11 hearings. Our families have been calling and seeking this American dream that got some of us here to Congress, most of us, unless we're Native American. And today, the hearing is about the economy, the cost of the border. I'm anxious to talk about the economy. As someone that ran a nonprofit working with people experiencing homelessness for many, many years, as someone in the state legislature who worked on balancing budgets, budgets are important to me. And generating revenue for our states is incredibly important to me. Just in Illinois, immigrants in Illinois, 17.3% of share of worker force is immigrants. 22.9% of entrepreneurs in Illinois are immigrants. 117,701 immigrant entrepreneurs. 2.8 billion total business income of immigrant entrepreneurs. We don't seem to complain about that revenue, right? 20.4 billion immigrant taxes paid. Yet what we know, we talk about the inflation a lot here, is that the US has a worker shortage. In Illinois, regardless of party, I have constituent businesses in manufacturing and hospitality. I have folks coming from downstate to my district and staying in agriculture. We need workers. 8.8 million job openings in the United States of America right now. Look, if you don't want to provide shelter for people, I'm gonna say this to you loud and clear. If we don't wanna do that, then let's join forces and request that we remove that 180-day bar so that people can work. Let me tell you loud and clear, because I actually have gone to some of these shelters. I've gone to police stations in Chicago. People wanna work. And this country needs workers. So if they work, they get their own apartment. If they get their own apartment, we don't have to provide shelter, and you certainly don't have to provide food. This is something that we can solve together. And it's why a number of us have asked the Biden administration to waive out that 180-day bar and let people work. Now, here's what I want to say. We have a broken immigration system. I think Mr. Reichlin
Melnick.
Say it again.
Reichlin Melnick.
Darn it, I lost 7 seconds. Thank you. You talked about the broken immigration system. 1990, the last time we did anything around immigration. I'm gonna tell you my age. I was 7 years old. 7 years old. The reason that my parents are US citizens today is because of 1990, because of 1986. This country would fall apart with immigrants. One day without immigrants, you don't eat. One day without immigrants, you don't have a hotel to stay in. One day without immigrants, our economy collapses. Honorable Borelli. Yet, we want to talk about how much they're costing us. Here's the thing. Work permits, immigration reform, and the adequate visa so that people don't have to come here illegally, these are all solutions that work to make this country the country of American dream, the country of freedom, and the country of the future. So here's my question to you, Mr. Reichlin Melnick. How would reducing the time to get a work permit help asylum seekers, local communities, and American businesses?
It would help enormously. And of course, the obvious reason is that if somebody is here and they're in a shelter, they don't want to be in a shelter. As you said, you talk to these people, they'll tell you, I want to be out supporting myself. I want to be out helping. I want to be out helping my family. I don't want to be sitting here in a shelter, twiddling my thumbs and waiting for months and months to go by.
So if they work, will that address the work shortage we have in the US right now?
I think it will certainly help, but we definitely need broader immigration reforms to go along with that.
I agree. So here's the last thing I would say. This morning, I went to a detention center briefing, hearing about the impacts of people in detention. There was a woman from Chicago there. For about 15 minutes, Ashley Bald, and she's here with us right now, she talked about what happened to her at that detention center. And I heard one of my colleagues today said, instead of putting them in a hotel for $300, how about you put them in a detention center? How about you go to that detention center and you see what's happening there before you start sending women and children into detention centers? With that, I yield back.